Don't look at us.
Yeah.
Just talk to
So
each
like
other.
when Harry met Sally, when they were on the couch, remember how they would like interview the couples?
I think it's been like 2 decades since I watched Harry Met Sally.
We'll watch that soon together.
Okay.
It's
It's like homework.
thing. Yeah. We met at Austin Birthing Center.
You did?
Yeah. Which was a high volume practice. Many nights of running between rooms. Yep. Kate left to start a home birth because that has always been your calling and passion. I only knew birth center life.
Until I stole you from the birth center.
Yeah. It was like slowly we hatched this plan to go in on this together and support each other and do this together. And So I got into birth work in 2010. I had my daughter in 2009, and I was on a career path that was just not working, like obstacles every single step of the way. And I switched up things, stayed really home with her, and I had a doula at my birth, and I had a hospital birth with her, and I was very empowered by the experience, especially given that frustration on that career path. So I decided to switch it, and I became a doula. I got certified, did some births, and then Austin Birthing Center was hiring birth assistants, and I really just fell into that position, having like no kind of experience on that side of things. We assisted the midwives with the delivery, and then we cared for the families postpartum. So I was trained on all that side of things. And I did that for many years, and just the timing wasn't right. And I didn't know if I wanted to be a midwife. I was really comfortable in my role there, teaching breastfeeding classes, teaching other classes. Finally, in 2016, I couldn't ignore the calling anymore and became a student of midwife, and I did my apprenticeship at the birthing center, mainly to get the experience of all the different kinds of midwives that were there. I did that for 3 years, and then in 2019 I became a licensed midwife and a staff midwife at the birth center. With this career path and this line of work, it was like doors opened. Like I got into midwifery school, I got a scholarship to go, I got my apprenticeship at a really great place. I was like, oh, okay, this is what it's like when you're on something and it means something and it's right. Yeah.
I love yours.
But you had a similar experience.
I did. I was in a different career that just didn't feel quite right. And my sister had babies, and her first birth to date is still the longest birth I've ever been to. Yep, totally. But I had never experienced that kind of care before, midwifery care before. The level of sort of high-touch care, autonomy, and informed choice that she was able to experience was really eye-opening for me. And then her second birth was crazy fast, and I caught the baby with the midwife on the phone, and I knew that this was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And I was apprenticing with my sister's midwife less than a month after my second niece was born. And I did that in San Francisco Bay Area in this small home birth practice for quite some time, and it was just really sweet and lovely. But I knew that I wanted high volume experience. I wanted to get as much crazy, intense emergency experience as possible, and I wasn't going to get that in a small home birth practice, and so that's why I came to Austin, to the Austin area birth center, where I was doing 80 to 100 births a year. I never want to be that busy again in my life, but it was a phenomenal experience, and that's where we met. There's a lot of similarities to what home birth midwives do across the board, but it is such a deeply individual and unique experience. We spend a lot of time one-on-one with people. Like, we sort of joke that we practice slow midwifery, right? Our appointments are rarely less than an hour with people. They're kind of unrushed. We sort of become a part of the family for a period of time. And I think in that way, part of what I think makes us unique, that sort of level of attention and care that we give to the relationship. And I sort of joke, like, you not only need to trust your midwife, you also really need to like your midwife, right? Because we spend so much time together, and I think we develop a really loving relationship with our clients. And I think we balance that really well with education. A big part of what we do is not only sort of helping educate people as to kind of what their experience is in sort of a broader context as well as an individualized experience, but also our clients sort of educating us about their experience, right? And about sort of where they are in their path in their life and how we can sort of walk this road together.
Yeah, we like to say there's like the 3 pillars in the midwifery model. There's the relationship, there is the clinical skills, and then there's
Education,
education,
relationship.
education,
Clinical
relationship, And the clinical care aspect, I think that what sets us apart from a lot of home birth midwives is that experience at a high volume practice.
Yeah.
And so we can bring that in, but then be able to practice that on a different level with a different dynamic because of that relationship building and that trust building, which is one of the reasons I joined Kate with home birth, is so I could build those relationships with people, because it's just really vital in a moment for us to know each other and us to be like, okay, I trust what you're saying, you trust what I'm saying, and we can go forward in whatever decision we're making or they're making, really.
I think we aim to have a well-balanced perspective between constantly collecting new information and trying to stay connected with how evidence-based practice is changing, combined with sort of personalized experience and sort of emotional experience, right? And like the trifecta of those things, it can be easy to sort of get a little bit disconnected from new research, from, changing recommendations. And I think we work hard to try to keep that from happening.
Right.
I think the other thing that makes us unique is our relationship, right?
Yes.
I think we have a really sweet and really bonded relationship. We have a lot of very similar skills, but I think we balance each other out really nicely with a different set of skill sets. And I think actually that's pretty rare to find. Like I can't imagine doing this work without you. So. And I just don't want to. This is just like, not interested.
I mean, our first birth together at home birth, after a couple years, we had a pretty major emergency.
Yeah.
And it was like we read each other's minds in that event.
It was very, very smooth.
Yeah. And then it's only actually even gotten more fine-tuned since then. Yeah. So it's been really great. And I think that's actually it plays upon another big difference, is that we do really emphasize having 2 midwives at each birth because of that, because I know of your skills and your licensure and like how you keep up with that, and you know that about me. So not only do we have that relationship component, but then we have that clinical skills piece to help keep people safe.
And I think it's really important as a provider as well to occasionally be able to say, I don't know.
Yes.
Right? And I feel like I've worked with some providers in the past that, sort of present this like, I know everything sort of feeling, and that makes me feel a little uncomfortable. And I really value being able to work with somebody where I can turn to them and be like, I don't know, let's figure it out together.
And I think also holding each other accountable.
Yeah, for
too.
sure.
Because I think when you talked about that siloed piece that home birth midwifery can kind of get into, that's the other piece too, is that there's not a lot of sometimes accountability, and sometimes it's very easy for the human mind to justify and excuse certain actions or decision making processes. But I don't think we do that. I think we could be like, hey, I saw you do this, and I think that this should happen. Exactly.
Yeah. I think the same thing, like the extension of that is confirmation bias, right? I think we see it in any industry, but definitely it's something I try to be really aware of in my own practice.
Right.
And having a partner really helps to combat that.
Yeah.
What keeps you going as a midwife?
Coffee. I sprung it on me and I have to think about it for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you my answer.
Okay.
I was thinking this last night. What keeps me going about this work is that it's all the things. It's simultaneously challenging and rewarding. It's beautiful and messy. It's raw, and it's just very real. And I feel like we get to wear all these hats, which is really sweet. Like we get to sort of be a guide and a teacher and, a therapist and like, and sort of do all these little parts of all these things, which I find really, really rewarding. Puzzle pieces. Always kind of putting together the puzzle.
I think for me, it's that I am continually learning. Every time I interact with a pregnant person, every birth, every postpartum experience, I'm always learning something. And that's incredible thing. And I think it's just amazing too. I like to say that all of our bodies are attempting to do the same thing to get baby out, but we all do it differently. And it's so cool to see that unfold.
But I think it's not only just getting the baby out, it's the growing and changing.
Oh, that's what I love the most.
Absolutely. And then transitioning on the other side.
I love seeing, like, especially first-time families grow their family unit, and to see them step into that role and like own that role and accept their responsibility as parents. Such a great thing.
And what we hear from clients over and over again is, oh, we had no idea it could be like this. And that is just always just really gets me in the feeling place.
My favorite thing is when they're like, I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I can do hard things.
I can do this really hard
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I find so rewarding about this work is that I witness people triumph all the time. And
No matter the
really,
situation, really.
Yeah.
You know, like we see people feel that way, feel empowered, even when birth didn't go as they envisioned.
Yeah. And simultaneously, I don't want anyone to feel alone in a dark and hard place, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of points back to like midwifery is kind of all the things.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's like at moments really beautiful and smooth, and other times it's tricky and messy and challenging and heart gut-wrenching and,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
beautiful and
people
bloody
probably say
and-
this to you a lot, but they're like, oh, you're a midwife, you just get to sit and hold babies all day.
yeah, no,
No,
that is not what we do.
I like very rarely get to hold a baby at like even an appointment.
Yeah.
I had one fall asleep on my chest the other day, and I was like, well, I'm stuck here all day because I never get this.
This is amazing.
This is where I'm sitting all day.
But yeah.
But midwife really means with woman. Really, that could be from, I mean, traditionally it's from, you know, puberty,
Right.
childbearing, menopausal,
Right.
like all that stuff. Right now, I think in our digital society, it's very limited. It's kind of
I would like to see
myopic
a
on
broader
just pregnancy.
scope. Mhm.
Yeah.
That will happen with time.
But it's more than just
Mhm.
holding babies.
There's so much focus on the birth, and there should be,
Mm-hmm.
but the experience is bigger than that. The bulk of the care is prenatal, right? And it's a long 9 months or 10 months of growing a baby. We periodically get the question of like, oh, well, can we just do the birth with you? That's it. And we don't.
No,
We won't do
it's
that.
about that relationship building, about that trust.
And the education that happens over time.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think midwifery care and out of hospital birth is about having and wanting a sense of autonomy in your care. Yeah, as Michelle said, it requires a level of desire and motivation and commitment, you know,
And that flexibility.
and flexibility. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's not appropriate for everybody, right? I think that for some people, the structure and sort of assembly line style care of obstetric care is really appropriate. If you show up when you need to show up, they kind of tell you what to do, kind of do all the things. And for some people, that structure is really, it feels really safe, right? Whereas for other people, it feels very uncomfortable, you know, and the sort of the higher level of autonomy and choice making and sort of flexibility of what we do feels much, much safer. So I think in that way, I'm grateful that we live in a time and a place of choice, right? And that there are lots of options for people, you know. I think a lot of people start sort of in obstetric care and then come to us because they want something different. And then I think sometimes people start with midwifery care and then realize they want to be in the hospital, they want to be in that structured environment, you know.
Which is great.
It's a learning path for everybody, right?
Mhm.
So
We want people to be where they feel safest, where they feel heard, and they feel empowered.
Yep,
And that
absolutely.
is different, like you were saying, for everybody.
everybody.